Hello everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Siddesh and in this video we are going to study the ISFILTERED and the ISCROSSFILTERED function in DAX. Now before we start with it, I just want to mention that it's a special day for me because it's the 9th of July and it's my birthday, and I'm really happy and excited to be spending time in making this video for everyone. So without further ado, let's start with it. So we have a product and a sales table that I've been using in a lot of my previous videos, and we want to study like what exactly is the ISFILTERED function. Now I have created a slicer based on the category column of the product table, which is essentially the sports gear or the sports apparel. Oh my bad, I have to first clear the slicer. So we have two categories, we have the sports apparel and the sports gear. So what the ISFILTERED function is essentially going to do is, if my visual or if my report is being filtered by the category, then it's going to return me true. Or in other words, if I select sports apparel, it means that all the visuals on this particular page are being filtered by my product category. If I select sports gear, still all my visuals on this particular page are being filtered by my product category, which means that the output of ISFILTERED is going to be true. So let's just see that in action. So I create a new measure and I call it ISFILTERED product category. Now it is going to give me true should there be a category that is filtering my current visuals. So I'll write ISFILTERED product category. So if I quickly pull this measure onto the canvas and convert it into a card, so it's showing me false because right now my category is not filtering this particular tables like product and sales. But the moment I select sports apparel, yeah, it is filtering the product table as well as the sales table, which is quite evident. And if I choose sports gear, it's still filtering and affecting the product and the sales table, which is why this is returning me true. Now this is the ISFILTERED function. What is the ISCROSSFILTERED function? But before we answer the question, I have one thing to think here, which is, if I can clearly see that okay, if I select sports apparel, it means my visuals are being filtered by sports apparel. If it's sports gear, my visuals are being filtered by sports gear. Then why is there a need for me to have a measure in place using the ISFILTERED function and give me true or false? Like, I can clearly see it on the visual. Why do I need it? And we are going to discuss that after we discuss the cross-filtered function. We are going to understand the use case of the ISFILTERED function, not just the functionality of it. So now let's focus on ISCROSSFILTERED function. Before that, let's head on to this data model. In this data model, we have the product and the sales table, in which there is a connection from the product to the sales table, where there is a one-to-many relation between the product and the sales table based on the product ID. Now what this essentially does is, if I make any selection in the product table, if I choose any particular category or if I choose any particular product ID or any product name, that gets propagated to the sales filter, which means it's getting cross-filtered as per the terminology of Power BI. So when I say is cross-filtered sales, then what I'm essentially asking is my sales table being filtered by a column which is coming from another table which is connected to the sales table via a relationship? And if you want to check it, I'll use the filter. I'll use the function ISCROSSFILTERED. So I'll create a new measure. I'll call it is sales cross filtered is equal to is cross filtered. Now I'll write sales and I'll hit enter. So again, if I choose any category which is coming from the product table, and now product table is linked to the sales table via relationship, so if I choose any category and if it's affecting the sales table, then the ISCROSSFILTERED should return me true. So I'll pull this onto the canvas, I'll convert it into a card. So the moment I convert it into a card, it says false because right now I'm not selecting any category actively. But the moment I choose sports apparel, it's giving me true. The moment I choose sports gear, it's giving me true, which means that ISCROSSFILTERED function is working fine. So far so good. Now coming back to the previous question, if I can clearly see on my visuals that my slicer is selecting a sports gear. Why do I need Power BI to tell me if it's true or false? Well, there is one situation where, let's say I am selling the goods in the sports gear category, and I want to say that if the sales amount is, let's say, 1000 in sports gear category, in that case the profit percentage is going to be 20% of the total sales. So should the sales be 1000, my profit is actually 200, and I want that to happen dynamically. So how do I achieve that? Well, in this case is what is filtered function going to come handy, and we're going to take a look at it right away. So I'll create a new measure and I'll call it profit contribution by category is equal to switch. Now switch is essentially a function just like case statement in SQL. So wherein you can pass multiple if statements, and should there the condition A be true, then give me this output. Should the condition B be true, then give me this output. Should the condition C be true, then give me this output. So instead of using nested if one after the other, the switch kind of makes it easy to test multiple conditions at the same time, like one after the other. And if you have any confusion in understanding the switch statement, I have already created a video on the switch statement. I'll leave the link in the description, you can go check it out. So in this, I'm not going to discuss much about the switch statement, but yeah, the first argument we just have to write true. Now the first thing that we want to check is filtered. We want to see if my current report is being filtered by the product category, which is the slicer that we used. So I'll write product category, which means if it is being filtered by product category, and if that product category happens to be sports gear. So I'll again write if that product category happens to be sports gear, then my profit should be 20% of the sales that have happened for the sports gear category, not for the complete sales, for the sports gear category. So I'll write calculate sum x. Now again, if you have any confusion about the calculate statement, I have created a video on calculate as well. I'll leave the link in the description, you can take a look after watching this video. So I'll write sales, then I'll take the quantity from the sales table and I'll multiply it by the price from the product table. But since I cannot directly source the product table, I'm going to use the related function. And now again, if you have any doubt in the related or related table function, I have created a video on that as well. I'll leave the link in the description, you can take a look. And that should be multiplied by 0.2, because what we want Power BI to do is to dynamically, upon the selection of sports gear category, to give me the profit for the total sales that have been made in the sports gear category. Now if the category happens to be sports apparel, now in the interest of shortening this video, I'm just going to copy and paste this instead of writing the whole thing again, and I'll just change this to apparel. And again, in the interest of saving some time, I'll just copy this whole function and I'll just put it here, or not the function but the calculate statement. And if neither of these are true, I just want to give the user a message that please select a category, which means that the user will be informed that upon selection of a category that he is going to get the profit percentage by each category. And I close this, so I close the switch statement. Now if I bring this over here, now let's quickly convert this into a card. So it's telling me this is the profit contribution by category, but how do I verify it? I want to verify it if 547 is the correct figure. Well, let me create a new measure for that. I'll call it total sales. So my new measure will be total sales is equal to calculate sum x sales, then I'm going to source a quantity from the sales table and I'm going to source the price from my product table. And once I multiply these, I should get the total sales, not the sales for sports gear or sports apparel, but the total sales. And I'll tell you what happens actually if I drag it here. So if I drag it here, I convert it into a card and I get the total sales. So now the total sales for the sports gear is 2735, and my profit contribution by sports gear category should be 0.2 times of 2735. So let's just verify it. If I go quickly to calculator and I multiply 2735 by 0.2, it's giving me 547. So far so good. Now let's try with the sports apparel, which is 0.15 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it is 0.15. So given that the total sales of sports apparel happens to be 1000, and it's 15% profit on the sports apparel, which means that my profit contribution by category is correct. Now if I uncheck both of these, it's giving me 3735 as sales. Now there's one thing that we can actually verify without even calculating the category wise sales, which is if the sales by sports gear category was 2735, I'll quickly pull out the calculator again. If that was 2735 and my sales from, I believe, the sports apparel category was 1000, then it gets tallied that sports gear plus sports apparel equals the total sales, which is 3735. And if I happen to select sports apparel, sports gear, 547 is the profit. If I happen to select sports apparel, 150 is the profit. So this is how you can use the ISFILTERED function to dynamically use that filter condition to give me some results on the fly. And this brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you learned something new from this video, because I definitely did when I was studying for it and I was researching it. And if you found any value from this video, please share it with your friends. And yeah, like I always say at the end of the video, happy learning and thanks for watching. And yeah, do let me know your comments. Do give me your feedback as well. Thanks for watching.